Despite the rise of global extremism, it turns out that terrorist guidelines and bomb-making instructions are still easily available online. RT's Jacqueline Vouga has been surfing for such material.
In less than 10 minutes, I was able to find multiple guides published by terrorist organizations through Google searches, clearly outlining how to make a bomb. We've chosen not to show nor name the handbooks we found, but they included step-by-step instructions in English from both Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. And within them, you can find lessons on kidnappings or carrying out various types of assassinations using explosives. And the problem is, anyone can find this information, including those hoping to put it to use. The bomb used in last week's New York subway attack included hallmark components of these readily available terrorist manuals.
I just feel like this is a very scary moment for everyone, for all New Yorkers.
I think it's kind of normal for these times, or particularly in New York City, which is targeted many times, and it's the new normal.
Once a potential terrorist has the recipe for a homemade device, that only leaves gathering the necessary materials. An investigation back in September found that Amazon's algorithm was suggesting items that could be bought together in order to create a bomb. That surfaced just days after an improvised device was detonated in the London Underground.
Oh, is that bag's on fire? I remember is the sound, explosion sound.
Back in September, Amazon pledged to fix its algorithms, but last time we checked, just before recording this piece, it was still there. These easily accessed terrorist materials have been on the internet for years already, and Google has made promises in the past to fight their availability.
Google and YouTube are committed to being part of the solution. We're working with government, law enforcement and civil society groups to tackle the problem of violent extremism online. There should be no place for terrorist content on our services.
That statement came back in June of this year, and yet just this Monday, Britain's The Independent news website released a report outlining how they alerted Google to the fact that their algorithms could provide extremists with dangerous materials, and yet saw no change in the search result days later. Clearly, despite the company's willingness to tackle terrorist content, its own algorithms are failing.
With websites, making a URL, making a website, all of these things online, anybody can just start a new one. So say, for example, your website that has maybe terrorist content or activity that's problematic or can lead to criminal activity, if they shut that down, if Google didn't allow that to come up in a search result, another one could come up right after. So you're not only looking at things like Google, which would be the search engine that it was found on, but now you're looking at things like website hosts. So now these are other private companies, not just Google's search engine, but other private companies that have to now look at who is starting a URL, what are they doing, how do they make this website. So in terms of Google, they're going to be having to cut out in the algorithm, cut out the search results. This is going to be much more difficult.
Now, some would have you believe that terrorists are lurking solely on the dark web, which most of us would never even know how to access. But it turns out they're not quite as far away as one would hope.
Cyberspace is the new training camp. So individuals can find information about bomb making, they can identify targets, they can chat with their colleagues, they can receive instructions, they can receive inspiration. Cyberspace flies underneath the radar screen of the police and security forces. Some of the internet companies, the Googles, the Facebooks, and those can prevent that type of activity from coming into their space. It's a cat and mouse game. It's going to continue. I don't want to say it's a mission impossible, but it's a very, very difficult to remove all and still live with a free and open internet to remove all elements of hate and extremism.
RT has requested Google deletes the search results so that dangerous and harmful materials can't be found online. We'll update you with any developments.